Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Assalamu alaikum to all the delegates who have joined us from all around the world today for the World CIO 200 2021 Roadshow Pakistan edition. Today, we are here to celebrate the lives of the CIOs of Pakistan and their amazing career span. On behalf of Global CIO Forum and my entire team, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all today. As we all know, established in 2017, the CIO 200 is a multi-country felicitation ceremony that recognizes the achievements of the digital leaders of today. It's not a competition, but instead it is a celebration of the amazing lives of the CIOs. In 2021, the roadshow will tour 36 plus countries. And after the completion of the virtual roadshow, the CIO 200 would be culminating a grand finale in UAE. This would be a face-to-face edition wherein the top and selected CIOs from 36 plus countries would be flying down for the grand finale in an all-expense paid trip. In these 2 days, the CIOs and other partners, will engage in knowledge sharing activities, peer-to-peer networking, matchmaking, and learning more about the global best practices in technology and much more. On that note, it gives me great pleasure to call upon Anushri Dixit, Global Head, Content and Strategic Alliances, to present the welcome note.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all delegates. Today, we are extremely happy to be hosting the Pakistan round of the World CIO 200 Summit 2021. We have had a very interesting journey in Pakistan in the last 3 years, and we have to say the country has just gone from strength to strength over the last years. This year as well, we have received an overwhelming number of nominations from the leading CIOs in Pakistan, and it was really tough part on the jury to select the final winners. Big shout out and gratitude goes to our country partner, Loco Services, and especially Mr. Umer Khokhar and Mr. Yasir Khokhar, who have played a very vital role in the success of the Pakistan tour. Thank you so much, Yasir and Umer, for your extended and continued support toward the World CIO 200. Also, a big thank you goes out to our partners of the Pakistan round, Infoblox, MNP, Dell Technologies, Habib Metro Bank, Golf Shop, and Geo News. Thank you so much for joining hands with us and making this success look even better. Also, a big shout out goes to our speakers and panelists who shall be sharing some very critical insights with all of you today and talking more about the ICT landscape in Pakistan. So as you know how the format of the shows goes, towards the end of the day, we would be announcing the country winners of the Pakistan tour, and a few of them, and like the short selected CIOs from that, would be flying in for the grand finale to the UAE. So all the best to all the winners out there, and we look forward to seeing some of you very soon in the UAE for the grand finale. So on that note, thank you very much. It's indeed a pleasure to have you all of us with here today. Thank you so much for joining in. And on that note, I would like to hand over to my colleague Gurleen now to continue the show. Thank you and have a very good day and stay safe.
Thank you so much, Anushri, for presenting that welcome note. The journey would not have been possible without support of our partners and sponsors. So a big shout out to all the partners in the journey, including Infoblox, Geo News Pakistan, Habib Metro, Gulf Shop Pakistan, Muller and Phipps Pakistan, and Dell Technologies Pakistan. Now, I would like to welcome our opening keynote speaker for today's event, and it gives me great pleasure to call upon Abdul Rahim Ahmed, Chief Information Officer, Special Technology Zones Authority. He will be shedding some light on role of special technology zones to energize the technology investment ecosystem in Pakistan. Over to you, Abdul.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I would like to thank Loco Services being the country partner for the World CIO Summit Pakistan edition and for inviting me today and taking the initiative for the encouragement and recognition of Pakistan CIOs at the international level. Today I would like to talk about the role of special technology zones in energizing the technology investment ecosystem in Pakistan. So, in recognition of the crucial needs to harness the opportunities of the digital age, the Prime Minister has issued a mandate to establish the Special Technology Zones Authority, which will provide legislative and institutional support for development of the national technology sector. I'm very pleased to inform you all that the Senate passed the bill last week, and the Honorable President of the Pakistan signed the bill yesterday, which has resulted in this turning into an act. So this body, under the Cabinet Division of the Government of Pakistan, will work to develop a technology-driven knowledge ecosystem and encourage modern innovative solutions and futuristic entrepreneurship. STZA will develop special technology zones across Pakistan, provide special incentives to attract investors and technology companies to partner with the government, and also provide a one window facilitation to local and international companies in the special technology zones. Ultimately, the authority aims to build a knowledge ecosystem that will harness the Pakistan's technology potential and set the country on the trajectory of an entrepreneurial, innovative, and tech-driven future for shared prosperity and inclusive growth. I don't know how many people know, but Pakistan's economy in the 1960s was doing better than South Korea, Malaysia, Indonesia, and even China. Its exports were $160 million in 1960 against South Korea's $32 million. Today, South Korea has crossed $500 billion of exports compared to Pakistan's $25 billion of exports. While these countries made a transition to the knowledge economy, Pakistan was left behind. But Pakistan can catch up by creating an ecosystem of knowledge. While there have been various missed windows, the pathway ahead is now clear to harness the potential of a young, brimming nation with opportunities. So, what went wrong? Which windows of opportunity did Pakistan miss out on other regional markets were able to grasp? One of the most imperative was the transition to the knowledge economy focused on technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Knowledge is key to success in the changing world. As technologies change the world by storm, the demand for skilled knowledge workers also grew in the countries worldwide. Knowledge, which included the generation of new ideas and the accumulation of intellectual capital, became the key ingredient for success in the rapidly changing world. The technology sector soon will become the core pillar of the knowledge economy. However, one of the reasons Pakistan could not make this transition a few decades ago is that we previously did not have like any authority which was providing incentives which were backed by legislation. So Pakistan's time is now. We might be late, but that gives us a window of opportunity to follow a tried and tested model and adopt it to the context of Pakistan locally, and finally leapfrog to a new era of innovation. So, what is this tried and successful model? So, this we have contextualized in Pakistan through the Special Technology Zones Authority. Science parks are innovation clusters. If I tell you, Pakistan does not have a single innovation cluster, while our neighbors and other regional countries have these in hundreds. Since knowledge, innovation, and technology entrepreneurship are the essential forces in a knowledge economy, the foundation is set through an ecosystem where the interplay between the respective forces can take place for the country's economic development. So we believe that the special technology zones are an interplay of the triple helix model. So where the industry, the academia, and the government come together. So this is so if we look at some of the other special technology zones or innovation clusters across the world, so the U.S. and China they have formed knowledge ecosystem through identifying a special land, geographical parcel of land with special laws. So herein, the respective players can take advantage of the tax incentives, establish strong linkages, and partake in knowledge-intensive activities for the shared goals of technology entrepreneurship and innovation that ultimately contribute to the region's socio-economic development. The clusters of innovation, also referred to as special technology zones or science parks, comprise of tech companies, startups, R&D facilities, universities, incubators, and other facilities in the respective land parcel. They provide incentives that attract the best ideas and talents and further nurture them through an ecosystem approach when knowledge workers like scientists, lawyers, architects, researchers, academics, tech entrepreneurs, technologists come together to build their intellectual capital further. In recognition of these needs to harness the opportunities of the fourth industrial revolution, now that the authority has been established, STZA is in the process of establishing special technology zones across Pakistan that provide particular incentives to attract investors in tech companies. The Islamabad Technology Zone has already been announced, and the applications for both zone enterprises and zone developers are already open. These special technology zones will comprise IT parks, science technology parks, BPO complexes, R&D facilities, and excellence centers for tech-driven businesses and startups engaged in providing IT and IT-enabled services. The authority will hold itself accountable to the public based on its key KPIs, which are technology exports, technology transfer, human capital development, job creation, import substitution, foreign direct investment, and research and development. It is the first authority to have the Prime Minister as the President of the Board of Governors, which shows the government's commitment to make the technology sector its strategic priority and assist STZA to achieve its strategic objectives in the shortest possible time. STZA aims to build knowledge ecosystems that will harness Pakistan's technology potential and set the country on a trajectory of a newly industrialized country, where Pakistanis experiencing higher living standards and improved socio-economic conditions. The flagship Islamabad Technology Zone will be the first knowledge ecosystem in the country and demonstrate what it means to offer an enabling environment for the industry, research, and government to collaborate under the triple helix model of innovation. Pakistan is banking on the new tech zones to create employment for its masses of young people. So 2/3 of the population of the Pakistan's population is below 30. It's already home to the third largest gig economy globally after India and Bangladesh, and it's I think the second or third biggest freelancer country in the world. So how do we get international investments into Pakistan? How do we get international tech companies coming to Pakistan? So we have to attract them, and for that you give them special incentives. So the government at the federal level has waived off all federal taxes and has created and the central bank has created a special forex regime to provide special incentives. So these are some of these, similar models on how, for example, in Dubai, the internet city, and some of the other free zones did to attract some of these large countries into Pakistan. So we look forward to your input, to your feedback, and all the support in making this initiative successful. Anyone can reach out to me. You can visit our website for more information. And as we do the national and country rollout, we will continue to provide more information and input on this initiative. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Abdul, for the presentation and the opening keynote. So with that, I would like to invite Ahmed Al-Abadi, Regional Sales Manager, Infoblox, to take upon the stage.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving me the chance to be here with you at the CIO 200 Pakistan today. My name is Ahmed Al-Abadi. I'm a Regional Sales Manager with Infoblox, and I look after the UAE, Levant, and Pakistan region. Today, we're going to be discussing rather an interesting topic, a zero trust DDI model. We're going to be trying to demystify the concept for a world-class, compelling infrastructure security. On the agenda today, we have three main topics. Why zero trust? And with the help of my colleague, Muhammad Tabbara, we kind of put together an airport traveling experience. where we're going to be trying to demystify the concept and relevance to what you go through in the airport from a zero trust perspective. And we're going to see that in the coming slide. Now, why now? We're going to talk about market trends, borderless networks, the dissolving of our perimeters as organizations. Our users are everywhere, working from home, working from public networks. And then what today's security challenges comes with that. And finally, we'll talk about what is a zero trust DDI. Now, for those who does not know Infoblox is a world-class secure DDI solution provider that works with thousands of clients around the world, helping them in their journey into digital. Proudly, Infoblox products and technology is a core element of what is called zero trust cybersecurity architecture. And in the coming slide, we're going to work together to see how is that exactly. First question, why zero trust in the first place? We all agree that security is a must, and therefore we should never trust and always verify. Now to the fun part of our presentation today. Here we look at zero trust travel experience, that we're all familiar with. On the left-hand side is the airport security zero trust model. On the right-hand side is a cybersecurity zero trust model. When you go to the airport for a travel and you want to get from one destination to another, no one in that entire process completely trusts you. You have to prove that you are who you say you are. And you kind of earn that trust gradually as you move throughout the process. So this is where you start with airline counter. You go there, you provide, travel documents, you provide your booking, perhaps nowadays a negative PCR test. They check your bags and the weight of these bags. And if you comply with everything and everything is okay, then you're good to go to the next step. Similarly, in a zero trust model, we validate users and devices. We have to make sure that users and devices connect to our network is exactly who they say they are. And that they comply with the organization policy in place. Now, once, let's say we're done with that in the airport, you go into the passport control and clearance. That's where an officer would check your travel document, would make sure that, for example, you're not a travel risk, and that your document is okay, is valid, and you're basically okay to move on to the next area of the airport, perhaps a duty-free, etc. Now, similarly, in a zero trust model, there is the control and minimize application access. So just because you are a legit user does not mean that you get to access anything in that network or all the applications that it provides. Similarly, in the airport, just because you're a legit traveler, it does not mean that you get to go anywhere in the airport. Now, let's say you got cleared. Now you get to the next step of the travel experience, which is a security checkpoint screening. That's perhaps one of the most important and crucial elements of the airport's zero trust security model. That's where it gets screened, through your body system. If you hold anything, that's not allowed, maybe metal devices, etc. Your carry-on luggage gets checked as well. If you're carrying any, unallowed items with you there, and basically to make sure that you're okay to access the remaining or the next part of your travel journey. Now, in a zero trust model, that's where the foundational security comes in. That's where things like DNS firewall, next generation firewall, proxy, vulnerability scanner, and other tools and solutions are in place to make sure that the data is going through, or the traffic is going through the network or the organization is compliant with some essential policy that's in place. Now, you've done that. While you're going through that process, your baggage that you checked in the first counter is also being screened before they get on board the aircraft. Similarly, in a zero trust model. In a zero trust model, the data has to be protected and screened, whether it's leaving the organization, whether the data is getting through the organization. In other words, whether data is being exfiltrated or is being infiltrated, it has to be checked and screened to make sure nothing confidential is leaving and nothing harmful basically is getting in. Let's move on. Now we get to the CCTV system. Surveillance system. Okay, you're done with all these steps in the airport. Is nobody checking you after that? In fact, there's a big team of people that leverages things like human intelligence and human behavior analysis to look at every person and every traveler, part of the airport area. So those people, they leverage those systems to make sure that nobody has maybe malicious intention or somebody behaves not in accordance with the laws and the regulations. Similarly, again, in a zero trust model, there is the visibility logging and analytics, artificial intelligence, behavior analysis. All these things and all these tools are a core component for such architecture. Now we get to the boarding experience. This is where travelers get divided and segmented based perhaps on their travel class, maybe families, people with special needs. All these get segmented in the boarding area. And in a zero trust model, again, there is what's called a micro segmentation or micro segmented networks. And that is also, again, a very crucial and important part of how you can establish and apply a zero trust cybersecurity model. Now, during that time, the entire process that you are at the airport, there is the airport security police. Those are the people that are watching it over the entire process and ready to intervene in case of any incident that happens. This is your SOC team that leverages tools like the SIM and SOAR that would intervene and take action, the necessary measurements to remediate any malicious activities, perhaps quarantine infected devices, and response to incidents as they happen. Now, let's talk about why now. The answer is really simple. Networks now and today are borderless more than ever before. You can no longer say this is my perimeter and all the good things are inside and the bad stuff are kept outside. Let's look at the traditional architecture of any network. First, we see dedicated WAN circuits or MPLS that is used to connect all the offices and resources to applications in your data center and also to the internet. This by itself results in a poor user experience. And these deployments were difficult to manage as the network evolved and became more complex. This is what we used to see basically in networks, especially prior to the pandemic around the world. Any organization, started their journey into digital, you're going to see this kind of architecture dissolving and disappearing in the first phases of this journey. There's a lot of manual configurations that results in a lot of delays, and there is a lot of extended outages and downtimes because of that. And security being centralized in a data center, it contributes to the need to route all your traffic back to the data center, because all these branches and users, before they get anywhere else without accessing a SaaS application somewhere, accessing the internet, you want to make sure that all the security investment that you have done that in place applies on them. And that by itself results in a poor user experience. Now, to what we're seeing today happening with all the organizations flocking into digital. Cloud applications, SaaS applications are being leveraged. Technologies like SD-WAN, are in place. Users are working from home from everywhere in the world. There's the branches that you have, okay, is now connected direct to the internet using technology like SD-WAN. Organizations are kind of decentralizing their data centers, and things are being kind of pushed to the edge to adopt to this change that are we seeing. And then the bring your own devices, the IoT is also affecting this change. There's like non-standard devices that are increasingly becoming part of your network. Everybody using their own devices to connect your applications and services from all over the world. And traditional data center applications are moving more and more and every day to the cloud to optimize the user experience. We've seen that happening massively with something like Office 365. In other words, like we said earlier, the perimeter is gone. Now that's where the security challenges are kicking in. How do you extend this investment that you have done and this security that you've done in your data center across all the edge networks, and the users at home? These are the challenges that we see today in a security. And this is why now zero trust cybersecurity model is very important. First of all, there's an increased attack surface, and this has multiplied since the pandemic kicked in. And then there is siloed, an inefficient security architecture. What's that center can provide you in your headquarter cannot be extended to the users, in your edge and all over the internet. And then your security teams, because of that, they're being overwhelmed with the amount of technologies that they have to deal with. There is inconsistent policies and solutions in place. Depends, where the incident is happening. So what you can apply in your headquarter in a NAC solution perhaps cannot be extended to your edge and to your user at home. And all of that has led to poor scaling to the threat detection and remediation. How you deal with a threat for a working from home user is different for a user that is, or a device that is sitting in your headquarter with all the security tools that you have, over there. How fast can you actually detect and quarantine infected devices with this kind of new architecture? Now, the question is, what is a similar kind of control plane that is, existing across all these different networks, whether it's in your headquarter, your branch, your working from home user? And the answer is honestly DDI or DNS. And that is how our zero trust DDI model kicks in and comes into place. Let's see how. What is a zero trust DDI? Is a secure DDI deployment in a zero trust cybersecurity model. And we're gonna tell you how for organization today that is, flocking into digital, that going through their digital transformation journey, it makes sense for them to consider a zero trust DDI architecture, and how that becomes kind of a compelling mean for achieving those objectives. Back to the zero trust travel experience model, but now we're talking about it from Infoblox perspective. To demystify that, we're going to be boarding a flight with Infoblox Airlines on a first class ticket. Our destination is secure organizations, and the gate number is 53. And I'm sure we all know that 53 is in fact the port that DNS uses universally. Now, remember how part of the zero trust model, there was the user validation and devices. That's where you use things like the identity access management, dual factor authentication tools to verify users and devices. Along with the help of Infoblox DDNS and GSSS TSEG, you make sure that users, are enrolled to the right and the primary DNS. They're being validated and presented with the Kerberos tickets, and that they belong to the domain they're trying to connect to. Similarly, a DHCP in a zero trust DDI model can leverage fingerprint information to verify the type of devices, type of operating systems, and other fingerprint details to set policies to whether, a device can connect to your network, gets an IP address or not. And then the second is minimizing control, control and minimize application access. Remember how, identifying in a zero trust model, how this is an important part of your, measures in place. Now with Infoblox threat intelligence feed that we provide you, millions of indicators of compromise that would allow you to check your users' destinations that they're trying to get to against those millions of indicators of compromise. And also based on certain categorization that you would set that will match your policy of the organization. For instance, you can set that I don't want my users to access any gaming sites, for instance. Those also can be enforced or be an enforcement measures using Infoblox Zero Trust DDI model. Then there is the custom RPZs. That's where you can add your own whitelisted, blacklisted, custom IPs and domains to apply certain measures. And finally, what our threat investigation portal dossier can provide you from, I want to know what is this IP that I saw, part of my SIM reports. Who does it belong to? Who created a certain domain? What other domains is related to it? What is the industry saying about it? And all that's kind of rich information that you can get from our dossier platform. And then to the foundational security. Remember, we mentioned the next generation firewalls, proxies, etc. That's where the DNS firewall kicks in. A DNS firewall is a way to check against millions and millions of malicious destinations, malicious IPs, domains, and URLs. And not only that, I want to make sure that my DNS service itself, my DNS servers, in other words, are themselves being protected against things like cache poisoning, amplification, redirection kind of attacks. And then what happens to my users that are no longer sitting inside my premise? They're off premise, they're at home, they're working from somewhere public. That's where InfoBlocks blocks one endpoint can make sure that all the security measures that you are applying from a DNS security perspective are extended to your working from home users. And they're always, whether they're on your corporate VPN or not, they're always going to InfoBlocks cloud security to be safe and secure from destinations that they might be accessing on these public networks. Now, data protection as part of a zero trust cyber model comes in InfoBlocks by us helping you mitigate against things like data exfiltration and data infiltration. We want to make sure that data is being protected from being leaked. We want to make sure that your DNS today is not being leveraged to exfiltrate data, is not being leveraged to empower something like fileless malware, where the malware will be calling back the remaining of it using your DNS responses. And that's where behavior analysis from InfoBlocks kicks in to mitigate against that. To the visibility part, logging analytics, that's where our machine learning and behavior analysis engine sitting in your DNS can mitigate from things like DGAs, domain generation algorithms, fast flux. Those are kind of zero-day attacks that happens every day. And reputation only will not help you mitigate them. And that's where the behavior analytics that comes in and InfoBlocks can mitigate those. And after all of that is being identified, you use advanced IPAM to pinpoint for you from visibility perspective, pinpointing for you, where is the infected device? Who is the users using it? Where does it exist in your network? Which floor, which switch port, etc. And now the segmentation. Remember how we spoke about segmentation earlier being part of your zero trust model? DNS and network views is what InfoBlocks can help you to segment your DNS services. And therefore, users would only be accessing what they need to access from DNS service perspective. There is security policies in place and access lists. And there is also what's called the DNS traffic controller. That's InfoBlocks terminology for a GSLB. You want to provide your users with the service based on perhaps their geographical location, based on, from which data center they're connecting with you, and based on maybe certain policies and load balancing measures that you have in place. And finally, we're going to be looking at the SIM and SOAR. That is where your SOC team are leveraging things like SIM products to take certain actions and respond to incidents. InfoBlock can power that with our ecosystem integration. You want to try to automate your incident response. You want to try to automate how you remediate threats. And that's where us working with your existing cybersecurity architecture, we can help you achieve that. Whether it is by talking to a next generation firewall to create an access list on the fly, whether it is to talk to a vulnerability scanner to initiate a certain action or an ACK product, etc. And not only that, with the help of Tide, which is our threat intelligence data exchange, we can share all that intelligence that we have with your other cybersecurity tools in place. And with all that, it can help you to enforce, DNS policies according to what your organization would set them to be. Now, finally, I'm almost done. I just would like to advise everyone to go to infoblox.com/cyber-threat-intelligence. This is a weekly report that we publish, usually every week. And in it, we would share with you what we have generated by our threat intelligence team about information related to latest attacks, how they work, best practices to mitigate them, and basically keep you up to date with the trends and the threats that we see. I'm done with my slides. I hope this was informative for everyone. And I would like to thank you again for giving me the chance to be with you here today. Please feel free to reach out to me at any time to discuss our topic today in more details. Thanks a lot and have a good day, everyone.
Thank you so much, Ahmed, for that amazing session. Fantastic takeaways. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for a panel discussion on leadership in post-pandemic. And for the panelists, we have Mr. Faisal Anwar, CIO of United Bank Limited, Muzammil Athan, Business Head, Muller and Phipps, Pakistan, Shakil Ahmed, General Manager and Head of IT, Utility Stores Corporation of Pakistan. I would like to hand the stage over to Syed Abdul Qadir, Director, Technology Consulting and Risk Assurance, AE Ferguson & Co., to moderate the panel. Over to you.
Thank you very much for the great intro. And I am very grateful to the CIO Global Forum and its all the organizers, and especially country head Pakistan, Mr. Umar Khokar, for arranging the fabulous event and giving me the privilege to speak in the panel of such eminent speakers. So the COVID-19 has really changed our lives. Instead of having this conference fully in person, we are doing it on a virtual approach. It is now becoming a new norm globally, and every organization is using technology for the core business operations and for digital transformation. Luckily, the timing could not be better. Recent shifts in this business model have prompted many enterprises to speed up their digitization programs, leading to their new patterns of demand and higher traffic on the digital channels. Of course, CEOs and boards are turning to their technology leadership for helping them increase their resilience and creating business values. At the same time, the risks related to IT have a huge impact. When a key IT project fails, it often means a huge and sometimes devastating setback for an organization, for an stakeholder, especially its customers. And we know that in now the post-pandemic IT is easily the biggest expense in an organization. And therefore need of the technology governance is much more evident now. On the other hand, IT leaders now have the vital role to safeguard organizations' pandemic containment measures. So based on this preamble, keeping in mind, I would now request each fellow panelist member to take 3 to 4 minutes in expressing your views regarding the total evolution of the technology leadership from pre and post pandemic in terms of its value, its governance, its risk management, and what will be the post pandemic challenges may face today being technology leader of your organization. So I would request my first question to answer from Mr. Faisal, and then from Shakil Saab, and then Muzammil. Please go ahead, Faisal.
Thank you very much, Qadir, and thank you very much, the CIO Forum, for giving us this opportunity to speak at this August forum. It happened to be that a very touching and an interesting topic has been picked, and thank you, Qadir, for putting that question across. I think large-scale transformation journeys were put on a fast-track rails because post-pandemic. It does not mean that there wasn't any transformational journeys earlier on or a digital embarkment, but there was a digital embarkment. However, with the first wave of the COVID, when it came in as a pandemic, and there was a huge influx and movement from the physical channels to digital channels because of the various reasons that the companies had to go through due to either shutdowns or lockdowns or smart lockdowns. It had created a high influx of pressure on reaching out to the customers through the digital channel, which means that originally things that were planned to be envisaged over a period of 3 to 5 year horizon were put on a fast track to be delivered either in 6 months or less than that. To give a perspective, 5 years squeezed down to 6 months is a very, very tall order. And when you are pushed hard against time, the governance aspect is the key vital role that it plays in. Because I come from an FSI sector, it is very, very important that we also embark upon a journey and ensure to our customers that a safe and a secure banking environment is being extended. So while on one side we had a huge influx on offering digital solutions of honoring our commitments to our customers, at the same time there was a huge influx to make sure that a better governance structure, better risk modeling, and to reevaluate a security posture of every company had to be taken through a very rigorous cycle. The landscape changed because with the digital emergence, so came the risk of the cyber risk that evolved through that. So we had to cover a lot of landscape, not only one side. It was easier said than done that, okay, what is the big deal? Let's give everybody work from home. It's easier said than done, but there is a lot of governance that needs to be going in. Second part that came out is if we see the landscape, a lot of IT projects have dependencies on foreign vendors in our ecosystem. And due to travel restrictions, they could not travel. And keeping that in mind, like I've earlier touched upon, the 6 year or a 5 year journey was squeezed down to 6 months journey with the restrictions that people cannot travel without a good governance structure and a very, very stable infrastructure. It would have not been possible for companies to make sure that we deliver up to our commitment. So that came one part. Then the other equilibrium that needs to be established, that what is a value driver? Because you can't just throw money out of things and make sure that things start to deliver. That is the other aspect. Then a very interesting phenomena that I had observed, and then we had to address that. And I would very strongly urge that larger set of organizations must evolve and must look into this, which is the softer part. We see a lot of people who have either gone through the disease itself, which is COVID, or went through this whole ecosystem. They had issues of depression, which is the softer part of it, either in certain cases, because of the extended lockdowns, there were behavioral changes that were seen in the people and in their extended family. Some of the people that went through the COVID and recovered, thankfully, mashallah, with the grace of God, went through post-traumatic stress, and some of them did face a depression. That means as an organization, a cultural transformational need also arose. So if you look at it, the point that I'm making is that we had to fast track technology transformation. We had to embark upon the digital journey much faster. The 3 year plan was to squeeze down in 6 months. We had to reevaluate the security posture. And then as an organization, I would very strongly urge that you have to look back into the organizational culture as well, that how it is impacting your people. Because of some of the people, or rather as a society, we need to see if people have amicable, reasonable work environment from there they can operate when they are at home. So that's one part of it. Now let's put fast forward, otherwise I can be here for the rest of the evening. So let's fast forward the discussion to post-pandemic, how we're seeing, because as we see the vaccine is getting, and I do strongly educate people, those who are not vaccinated, to get vaccinated. We see that there is a level of control on the disease, or I should rather use a phrase, infection. And we see that countries are coming out of it, and we see a bit more open culture where people can interact. more often. So as an organization, what is it that we need to see? So we need to see that COVID has made us learn how to be efficient. So we need to leverage on that efficiency. We can't let go of that efficiency. We need to see that how the workforce can deliver much smarter, because we have seen that during the pandemic, it's been a smart delivery ecosystem that has been delivered. Another important thing, a myth that got broken, and I always used to debate about that we had management ecosystems, and I'm talking about the larger ecosystem, not specific to one organization, out of sight, out of mind ecosystem. That myth has been broken now. We've seen that people did work from home. People did work, those who got stranded into different countries or geographies were able to deliver effectively and efficiently those projects. So we need to capitalize on that. A very important aspect that pandemic made us learn also is the limits to which a BCP of an organization could be thoroughly tested. So we've been making plans that what if this building is inserviceable, if that city is not serviceable, if we have a lockdown, if we had a road broken down, if we had this thing done. But I don't think that I know of a person who would have envisaged such a scenario where not one city, not one country, but the whole ecosystem, the whole world gets stranded into a geographical boundaries because to control the disease. That has stretched the BCP testing mechanism to its limit. It has opened up venues. It has made the organization test their survivability to a larger extent. And post-pandemic, I think the lesson learned should be further inculcated into the culture to make sure that we can deliver a sustainable, long-term organizational frameworks or ecosystem to the larger group. Another thing that I have seen, which was done very
next
effective.
question.
Yeah.
I think Shakil Saab can add value in this discussion as well. Shakil Saab.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. I totally agree with Faisal. Now this pandemic has really changed the way the businesses are operational. So as the IT, the role of IT has also been changed. IT is no longer a supply closet role, but now is in a business partnership. IT is basically really helping the businesses to bridge the gap between the businesses and its customers. The COVID-19 pandemic has accelerated the digital transformation at more than 50%. So more and more organizations are in the process of digital transformation. Their digital channels have overtaken physical platforms as our primary communication, collaboration, and transactional platforms. IT is taking center of stage. Almost every aspect of the organization, from management to marketing, now relies on the digital processes. Now, I believe the new normal would be far more tech-driven in years to come. I'm representing one of the largest retail chain organization of at least the Southeast Asia in the public sector. If I talk specifically in the public sector, perhaps it would be the largest retail chain organization of Southeast Asia. We are operating more than 4,500 outlets across the country. We are everywhere. If I just give you a brief background of my organization, Utility Store Corporation was operating. It was established 50 years ago with 20 outlets across the country. Now we are operating, passing through various stages of expansion. Now we are operating more than 4,500 outlets across the country. And you would be surprised to see that all of its business processes were handled manually. I'm just talking the pre-pandemic scenario. And the big challenge for the organization was basically to transform its business processes to a digital platform. So, our organization, we have started this the project 2 years ago. The government has taken this initiative that the company should basically transform its business processes to a digital platform. So what we started, basically, we started building not only the infrastructure, basically, but we started transforming all the business processes from the supply chain, the retail, and the financials into an integrated ERP system. So this was basically just giving you a brief background of about my organization, what we have been doing in this the pre-pandemic scenario, and for the post-pandemic, I believe that there would be a lot more to do. Like, we are planning to start the e-commerce platform. We are trying to build the largest e-commerce platform of the country. This is basically in the next few months to come. So basically, the pandemic has really changed basically the organizations, the way they were doing their businesses. Now the people, basically the customers, they have more demands. They have different, to complete their requirement, to fulfill their requirements, you have to basically come up with new ideas and new solutions so that you can serve your customers better. This was some idea. So it's over to you, Abdul Qadir.
Thank you, dear Muzamil Saab. Please add the value in the discussion and give your insights, please.
Thank you so much. I think the both participants and Mr. Abdul Qadir had given a very good idea what's going on. I just would like to add up some of the things into this. That's every threat brings a new opportunity to the market and to the world. This happened to my organization as well. We are doing the business of around, we have completed $1 billion business in 2020. We closed 2020 with $1 billion business in Pakistan. We become third largest organization and the third largest taxpayer for the Pakistan. So we got around more than 35% increment only in the year of 2020 as compared to 2019. This is the opportunities had been developed due to the pandemic situation across the globe as well as in our country. With the God bless, we are a very, very God blessed country in this pandemic situation, where the most of the countries had been collapsed, their economical situation had been collapsed. But in Pakistan, alhamdulillah, in major sector, except some of the areas like hotel industry or the aviation industry, except these few industries, all the industries had been developed a lot, especially IT. We are doing the IT distribution for major brands, for PC business, as well as storage, servers, and all these products. Our business had been developed around more than 120% as compared to 2019. This is the development we face and we see in this portion is just because of the digitalization in Pakistan, as well as those people who were relying onto the manual systems and on-ground change, and they develop themselves for the online and to connect all the things through the servers, digitalization. So I think this pandemic has grown up a lot. If you talk about the digitalization and technology wise, Pakistan developed a lot. Not only this, but I think the things that are coming to Pakistan in 2020, alhamdulillah, Pakistan is one of the country that lot of foreign investment in IT sector comes to Pakistan in our company, as well as a lot of other companies like Systems International, like NetSol and the other companies, they had got a lot of foreign investment for the IT development in Pakistan. So I think this pandemic not only brought horror films things and the lot of painful things, but it also bring a lot of opportunities in our country and our sector especially. So IT become, I think, one of the most growing industry in this pandemic, which creates a lot of jobs in technology, lot of opportunities for those people who just passed out a few years back, and they were trying to get a good job, but they were not getting that. Now they all are on a very good position just because of this digitalization, this post-pandemic things, and all the things that bring this world to the making a new history for the digitalization. So I think pandemic is at one side, yes, a lot of people had been affected due to this, but it's bring a lot of energy to the people, lot of energy into most of the industries in the world and in Pakistan as well.
That's great. That's great. I think my first question was drastically explained and excellently explained by every panelist. So I'm going towards more in-depth questions regarding the technology and then technology implementation from pre-pandemic to post-pandemic then. So my first question for the financial sector representative, that in this financial sector, digital transformation projects provoked a mix of urgency and paralysis. Leaders, every leader know that they need to move quickly to transform the business around the cloud, around big data analytics, around robotics process automation, artificial intelligence, machine learning. But they also fear of being failed. And we know that according to the recent study which has been held for 2020 and published on 2021 January or February, 2/3 of the digital transformation projects are failed due to the complexity and not making good timely decisions during this pandemic situation. So my question to Faisal Anwar for as being you are a technology leader of one of the largest bank of Pakistan. So how can you ensure the success of digital transformation projects post-pandemic? And also please advise whether Pakistani organizations are moving towards data-driven and emerging tech transformation-based organizations? Please.
So thank you, Kadir. I think it's a very elaborated question, and I will try to be precise because it covers a lot of canvas. First part of your question, the importance of being a data-driven organization, there are no two questions about it. My personal view is that every organization must leverage upon data. The key to success for a new business model is data, and data can do wonders for an organization subject to that it is being seen and evaluated in the right order. We have embarked upon a big time data-driven organization. Touch wood, I think we've done decently very well. We have adopted AI and ML models, and a decent number of use cases have gone live. We have seen the fruits reaping results very early in time because of that outcome. So I would very, very strongly urge for organizations to very strongly follow the data-driven organization. It sets the stone right for a digital transformation. So any organization, in my humble opinion, that would like to embark upon a digital transformation journey, the setting stone should be data, not anything else. All other things could be a means to an end because that is your touch point to your customer. So if you have your statistics and your data well done and your models which can predict well, that is the key to success. I see that the organizations, broadly speaking, in Pakistan are heading into the right direction. as far as the data is concerned. So, Kadir, can you repeat your second part of your question, because that was very interesting. Sorry, you're on mute, Kadir.
I was referring to your because for these all the emerging tech implementations, 2/3 of the digital transformation projects were failed due to the complexity and not making timely decisions. So I was referring to that factor.
Okay, so that's a very interesting stats, and rightly so. Why do they fail? Number one, when we are embarking upon a digital transformation journey, we make it super complicated because we want to reach to the moon day zero. And that leads to a complete chaos all over the place. Second part is that transformational journeys are, that is a journey where you need to partner with your business. It should not be a tech loan-led journey. And I'll give you an example because Kadir very rightly touched upon the RPA's kind of a journey. And I very strongly say that if on a standalone basis, you run an organization think that I can deploy an RP and get things done. So rest assured that the only thing that will get achieved is a process that will get automated, and a junk that you were producing much slower, you will end up producing junk much faster. What needs to be done, and this is where the RPAs would fail because you don't want junk. So what is far important is to simplify, number one, to simplify the process. Number two, to have a right set of people as part of a transformation journey who understands your business. So that means your transformation journey needs to be well aligned with the North Star of the organization. Number three is break it down to smaller pieces so that you can see the success factor very, very quickly. Number four, we need to have a sustainable frameworks around it. So adoption of technology is one part of it. So likes of an RPA, and I was talking about it in another forum, adoption in RPA without a framework is not going to lead you to the end state that an organization is looking forward to. So it is very, very important that while you're adopting an RPA framework, you also have a framework which well aligns and gels in with your end state North Star of an organization. With this also brings in associated risks. So while you are adopting those digital transformation journeys, the organization must review the associated risks associated with that. Either work around those risks, mitigate those risks, or as an organization, one could say that, okay, they are well within the control range and we are going to accept them as the new BAU. But those should be the well-informed decisions, not be the byproducts of an adoption of a digital transformation journey. If you can crack the net around all of that, I would say that the transformation journeys can be very smooth. They can be scalable. And it is very important where people do go have a problem. You don't digitize a department, you digitize an organization. So your ambit and your view should look like that eventually this needs to scale up and end up gelling into the larger organizational goal or a framework. And if you can solve all those questions, the adoption of technology gets very, very easy. You end up overtaking the associated risk, and the success factor of that transformation journey gets very, very easy. Last but not the least, like I said earlier, for the sake of repeating myself, the founding stone is data. Even if you're doing RPA, your data quality score will drive you that what will be an outcome of your intelligent RPA. So you must embrace on data and at the same time work around data governance, because if you have a good quality data in your organization, your founding stone, which is the data-driven organization, will be more accurate. The more accurate is your founding groundwork, the more accurate and painless will be your rest of your journey. Thank you very much. Kadir, back to you.
That is very great and excellent point you have developed for us, that don't digitize the department, but digitize the organization. So coming back to the public sector organization representative, that Shakil bhai, the biggest challenge for your type of organization, public sector organization, is not the technology. It is the people. While technologies are rapidly become a commodity, success largely depends on organizations' digital IQ, especially how well government, their IT ministries, their sponsors, their main stakeholders define and lead the transformation. It is also dependent upon the digital qualification of the public sector employees like you, like your leaders, your other CXOs who need to roll out digital process and service. So Shakil bhai, being representative of the largest retail sector organization of Pakistan, how can you ensure properly skilled workforce will be available to you? And what steps, in your view, the government has taken to systemize and strategize the boom in the technology industry to cater to the fast changing customer needs and this level of market dynamics? Please.
Thank you, Kaza. This is a very important question. Basically, if we talk about the people, we can categorize them in three parts. Basically, the one, the technology people, who are basically involved in the digital, the development of the systems and the deployment of the infrastructures. And the second category is the people, the business people who know their requirements, who had been in any kind of role in the digital transformation in their previous jobs, basically. And the third one is the end users. End users, the people who have to do with the systems, who have to work with the system. So what we are doing basically, in a public sector organization, if I talk specifically about my organization, we were working on all three sides of these, these categories. For the technology people, we have inducted the specialized people with the required skill sets. Once when you are basically doing this kind of large digital transformation, you need people in every aspect of the technology. Like we have people with information security background. We have people in project management. We have people with having the software development background. We have people with the network specializations. We have people with the data center specializations. So what we have done basically, we have inducted the people from the market with the specialized skill set. Of course, this was basically again, I would do this credit to the government as well, because the government is really pushing us, pushing every organization, I believe, that to digitize their processes. So same was with the utility store corporation. So they have asked us to digital transform the organization. So for that measure, they have basically given us this kind of, the support as well to hire the people from the market. Now we have a team basically where we have the people with specialized skill set as far as the technology part is concerned. And we have the people from the business side. From the business side, we now have the people, whether they are in the sales, in the operations, in the finance, in the management. We have people from the market. This is basically the first time, basically in the history of utility store corporation, we are having people. Now we have a mix of people. We have the people having experience of the organization, and then we have people, bringing the experience from, maybe the multinationals. And we have a different flavor of, experienced people in organization. So, and the third person now, the third category is basically the end users. So for the end users, what we are doing is basically we are building the capacity of the end users. So we have a massive training, program for them. We are building their capacity. Basically, these are the people, basically by end user who have to operate the system, which we are going to, to deploy. So these are basically the three different kind of people, different three category of people we are having in our organization.
Great, Shakil bhai, and we pray to Almighty Allah that our country would become more digitally oriented organization under the leadership of your type of people. So, Muzammil, my last question to you, last but not least, being responsible for you, one of the largest logistics and distribution company of Pakistan, and having experience working with almost all industry sector companies, customers, your views. So what your views on whether the current practices of digital transformation in Pakistani environment industries are efficient enough to cater to the fast changing customer needs, not locally, but globally, because you are part of the multinational organization. So what the market dynamics and workplace environment, especially after pandemic, you have seen? And after this new normal, how effectively and efficiently your relevant industry will use emerging technologies? I think Muzammil, you are on mute.
I'm sorry. I think, Qadir bhai, this is a very interesting question, and it have a different dimensions. And I would like to share one of the experience that we seen during this pandemic time. As I mentioned that the lot of things we developed and we started during this pandemic time, which gives a lot of energy because of this pandemic pressure. In Pakistan, just an year back, 1.5 year back in 2019 start, the total online business in Pakistan was not more than 2%. As far as we talk about the Muller and Phipps, which is a part of the multinational company, we are working in 38 countries across the globe. In Pakistan, we are the second largest distribution company, and the second largest courier service as well, as a MNP courier that we purchased in 2016, that converted from OCS courier to MNP logistics and courier. We were very far from the international practices on the online and the digitalization within our company, as well as the Pakistan was very far from the online purchase, sale, and this e-commerce platforms and the websites. You believe or not, we developed in this very short time more than 200% of the digitalization and the e-commerce within Pakistan. If you talk about even the Daraz or the Telemart or any e-commerce platform or the e-commerce website. In our company, the big challenge in the start of March 2019 was to collect the orders and to dispatch the things to customer doorstep. So immediately we developed the websites, which name Ab Tak name website we developed, and we connect all the customers that our order bookers went to or shop to shop and collect the orders and do the dispatch. And all these customers become digitalized. We developed a mobile app. We give this access to this mobile app to all our customers across Pakistan. So you cannot believe, within 2 months, in May and June, we become one of the largest digital connected customers. Around more than 85,000 resellers had been connected with us, that now started their ordering and everything through the mobile app and through the website. So these are the changings that came with the I cannot say the blessed of pandemic, but because of the reaction of pandemic or the retaliation of the pandemic, these kind of changes, positive changes, came to this whole systems of Pakistan. So now there are more than 120 starts that all belongs to the digitalization and the e-commerce and the website and all these things. So this is a positive impact including my company, we invest a lot in this 1.5 year for the storage, servers, PCs, and all this whole infrastructure to make the things easy access to every customer and to connect every customer from any part of the country directly to our head office through the mobile app or through the email or through the website, which names Aap. So in this pandemic, we developed a lot into this digitalization. So this is, I think, making the history that the whole system of e-commerce developed in last 8 to 10 years in Pakistan. More than 200% of these websites and this traffic had been generated only in 1.5 year of this pandemic. So
great example of, I think great example of efficient and effective implementation of the digital transformation based on your facts and figure. So I think due to the scarcity of time, unfortunately, because it's a great topic and very learned professionals are here, so you can talk hours and hours for this topic, but as per the global CIO enforcement, I think I have to close and summing up the unanimous view from our great panelists that if you are reacting to a competitor rather than being the game changer, you have already missed the boat. So my key takeaways for securing long-term digital success could be clear technology governance strategy and its agile implementation, as suggested by obviously Faisal Saab and all. A passionate and committed leadership from stakeholder to every execution that takes ownership. Innovative and flexible culture to actively promote digital-driven vision and strategy. And also mainly digitally skilled and security-oriented workforce. And obviously, just as you said, drive new revenue stream and better engagement with the customer by using all emerging tech, exact good utilization of RPA, good utilization of big data and AI. And last but not the least, Pakistan, our beloved country, needs a vibrant digital ecosystem to strengthen this economy, boost exports, and help provide jobs for more than 2 to 3 million young people who enter the workforce each year. On behalf of all the panelists and all Pakistan, thank you very much, Global CIO Forum. Thank you very much. That's all from our side. Take care.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all the panelists for the amazing panel discussion. I believe the delegates would have amazing takeaways from the same. And thank you so much, Sayed. With that, let's move to the next session with Sayed on Bukhari, CEO of Apollo Telecom. He'll be shedding further light on IT strategy 2025, getting ready to welcome the year 2025.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Sayyid Muhammad and I'm the Chief Executive Officer at Apollo Telecom. First of all, thanks to Team Locos for providing me the opportunity to express my thoughts on the subject. Today I'm going to set the stage by making the case why we need to be getting ready to welcome year 2025, especially after the lesson learned during recent pandemic. Companies that were doing well before the epidemic are struggling, while those who had digital transformation completed before COVID-19 are thriving. Things could change dramatically by the end of 2021, obviously if the world can handle COVID-19 situation. Examples of changes observed during the pandemic are the rapid pace of technical change, the increasing power of social media to influence customer behavior, and the rapid flow of private capital into aggressive startups. Now let's jump directly to our topic. To set the background, we need to see how business strategy will look like in 2025. To help your business adapt more effectively as the pace of change accelerates, here are the 5 ways business strategy will be different in 2025. Forces beyond your company controls are always shifting. Some may benefit your business while others may be harmful. Leaders should employ a rigorous approach to anticipate which developing forces will compel a strategy revision. Clients, current and potential, are the best area to look for real change indicators. To better understand clients' goal, business strategists should talk to them about their future worries. Business leaders will need to make key choices to reposition their company to capture the opportunities and defense against the threat. These strategic choices are which customer group to serve, which customer need to serve, what product to offer, and how to perform key activities such as product development, manufacturing, sales, etc. In 2025, to obtain insights, make strategic decisions, and set their own KPIs, CEOs will need to approach their employees like entrepreneurs. The CEO will provide the requested resources to the team and keep every individual accountable for their acts. These 5 changes will accelerate the competition for market share. Don't get left behind. So having discussed business strategical transformation, now see how IT will match the pace of this revolution. As per my knowledge and experience, 2 segments need attention of today's leaders: IT infrastructure, technical HR. So before jumping to these areas, let's sit up in our chairs and gaze out at what 2025 will look like upfront. You are now flooded with numerous technologies. In 2025, the majority of what you see here will be common. The challenge will be to identify best practices for implementation and operations. And frankly, many of the technologies on this list will likely be legacy by 2025, leaving you with a whole new set of technologies. The challenge then and now will be how to introduce and enable those technologies to your users. So beside the technology aspect at glance, what 2025 look like? Your application and infrastructure will be everywhere. There will be tools that manage the hybrid nature of all. The tools will have machine learning and AI baked in. There will be interconnected services, some that you created, others that are created by external entities. Automation will be the lifeblood for success. Your organization will be much more virtual than they are now, with traditional and non-traditional staffing. On the vendor front, I would guess that most of you can identify your strategic vendors on the screens here. Well, it's going to be changed in 2025. Not only will there be many more new vendors, but chances are you will have different strategic partners in 2025, and many of the vendors that you now deal with will operate under different banners. On a process front, automation is to the modern infrastructure what blood is to the body. You cannot have modern infrastructure without automations. What we currently see is a lot of automation already available, most of which is very much reactive. Some of the more mature organizations are being a bit more proactive with it. But to be competitive enough and to be the successful in the future, you must evolve from IT task automation and IT service automation to business service automations. And with business service automation, I mean the hedging of the underlying infrastructure automation activities with effective business processes. In 2025, you will need to incorporate multi-purpose lists within your staffing strategies. You will need to also to break up the hierarchical organizations, make them to be much more fluid, much more virtual. And you will also need to consider and deploy context-based role where the context is easily associated with a desirable business outcome. In terms of metrics, we have seen progress over the past few years, with many companies now oriented around services and associated their metrics with it. But in 2025, the bottom line will be how are you enabling the business? How are you helping your colleagues to be successful in their respective business? So again, we are back to customer satisfaction. How happy are those that are consuming your services? That is going to be the bottom line for 2025. For future, you must bring your ideas and know your customers more efficiently. There is a key that you must follow, and this key has 2 themes. The one is around enhancing the quality of existing services, and the second theme is around building customer intimacy. So the key takeaway is that you must prioritize innovation delivery over infrastructure management. So as we previously visualized and realized, the future of IT is the state of continuous change, which can be scary and exciting both. But we all learned so far, change is the new normal. Now let's see how and what to do to welcome the future. We need to stop bad practices that create high technical debt by enabling clear strategy like this. Want to disrupt the status quo when your goal is to improve quality and achieve maturity. You must replace fragile, static, outdated systems, methods, and processes when your goal is to enable agility. Now the question is, how do I prepare my infrastructure for future? Well, in order to keep up the fast pace of change, you simply need to rethink everything. You need to recognize that world is not about data center or the public cloud. You must design for the world where infrastructure will be everywhere. We need a connected, intelligent architecture that spans data centers, edge, and the cloud, and will provide solid foundation for modern application development, real-time machine analytics, and also be built on the rock-solid cybersecurity. From traditional to cloud-native application, from on-prem to cloud and to the edge. I want you to think modularity is an enabler of high-level services that can deliver infrastructure mobility intelligent, which will deliver on self-driving operations. Intelligent infrastructure will optimize itself by use of machine learning, predictive analysis, and auto-tuning. Now let's quickly jump to last segment, which is HR preparation. Talent, not capital. Global economies are now transforming into knowledge societies. We need to develop proper ecosystem for knowledge transfer. Few years back, I had a chance to read a wonderful book, Talent Cities by Patrick Hamilton, out of which I thought to share these 5 C's of talent, which I firmly believe is essential for future preparation of the manpower. Billion-dollar question, how to energize people. I outline few areas to start with. Make them learn how to attack and defend at the same time. Convert your conversations from focus on failure to focus on value. Realize them the value of innovation. There are few key steps to energize people. Embrace, transform, equip. In a nutshell, transform them from technology expert to business leaders. Let's look at the competencies of future's effective teams. They must be agent of change, should understand each and every bit of business along with their IT skills, must have very strong emotional intelligence. We must take an active role in preparing our staff to transition away from traditional job to the area where we have the greatest needs and opportunities. In this example from Ernst and Young, we could see how they use the self-assessment of skills in order to identify different potential roles and the skill gap that are required in order to navigate to those future potential benefits. Ernst and Young is a great model for us to learn from. After all, they have made 21 consecutive appearances on Fortune magazine's 100 best companies to work for list. And therefore, there is probably some lesson that we can learn from them. Team development approach is a subject which every leader must master in. There are few points to be discussed. Career paths are not linear. Taking staff to transition away from traditional jobs to the greater needs and opportunities. We must engage employees directly in assessment process. We must give options for growth. We must give them support needed for this transition. We need stronger relationship with HR leaders to help in such transitions. Rather spending time on new hire, we need to give options for smart, motivated employees to increase their value regardless what they work today. I am really grateful for giving me time and hearing me out. I would love to hear from the audience. You can reach me at the contact written below. Thank you very much. Stay blessed and good luck for upcoming awards. Goodbye.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, to further shed light on MNP and its digital transformation journey, I would like to call upon Mr. Kamran Nishat, who is a fellow member of ICAP and a chartered accountant by profession. He holds more than 35 years of professional experience and is the managing director and CEO of Muller and Phipps Pakistan Limited. He also holds the office of CEO at Associated Companies of Muller and Phipps Pakistan. Over to you, Kamran.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you wherever you are. I hope you and your loved ones are safe during these challenging times. This is Kamran Nishat, MD and CEO of Muller and Phipps Pakistan. We are the largest distribution house in Pakistan having a proud history of 100 plus year of sustainable growth and innovation in the company. COVID 19 has radically transformed many aspects of human life and global society of today and for years to come. A key aspect of transformation has been increased digitalization and connectivity. Let me share with you some learnings of these challenging times. The coronavirus pandemic is a crisis and is here to stay. While it is bringing many serious challenges, it is also acting as a catalyst for economic, societal, and personal and corporate change. The scale of the change and the speed at which it is happening is highlighting the fact that companies are facing once in a generation shift from computerization to digitalization. The challenges, the challenging economic outlook, and continued uncertainty are forcing CEOs to contemplate some difficult choices. Some are pulling in, making cuts, and focusing on riding out the storm. Others, however, such as myself, are taking decisive actions to make sure that when crisis ends, they'll be stronger than they were pre-COVID. If I talk about our organization, Muller and Phipps, we took some key strategic actions towards digital transformation. Our strategy was based around on what the government of Pakistan has worked out on the digital vision for Pakistan. And the key pillars which we worked on were access and connectivity, digital infrastructure, e-governance, digital literacy, and digital innovation. I would like to share some of the steps which we have taken in our organization to create a data driven culture. We found them very effective, and I hope if you like and you find them interesting, you can also work on them. What we learned that data driven culture starts at the very top. Top leadership should take strategic decisions based on insights provided by relevant data. Companies with strong data driven cultures tend to have top leadership who set an expectation that decisions must be anchored in data and that this is normal, not novel or exceptional. The examples set by few at the top can serve as catalyst in cascading substantial shifts in company-wide norms. Don't pigeonhole your data scientists. The data insights should be shared with business leaders so that their decisions are based on data analytics. Data scientists are often sequestered within a company, with the result that they and business leaders know too little about each other. Analysts can't survive or provide value if it operates in a silo from rest of the business. This is a very important aspect. They must know each other. Keep it simple. Make proofs of concept simple and robust, not fancy and brittle. Practical and not promising ideas should be worked on based on data analytics. In analytics, promising ideas greatly outnumber practical ones. Often, it's not until firms try to put proof of concept into production that the difference becomes clearer. Another aspect which is very critical is just in time specialized trainings. Timely training sessions for employees should be planned so that training is conducted just before it is needed. Many companies invest in big bang training efforts only for employees to rapidly forget what they have learned if they haven't put it into use right away. So, while basic skills such as coding should be part of fundamental training, it is more effective to train staff in specialized analytical concepts and tooling just before these are needed. Analytics to help employees, the internal stakeholders, and not only just for customers. This is our learning that we have used the analytics to make the life of our internal customers, our colleagues, better. And it's been used for their well being. If we can create a ease in their day to day working, which can save time, avoid rework, and fetch frequently needed information quickly, it was really, really very helpful. And it plays a very vital role in our organization. I'm happy to share my thoughts and experiences with the company, and I am happy to explain or on you can reach out to me whenever you feel like. I really like a quote by William Pollard, and it says, information is a source of learning, but unless it is organized, processed, and available to the right people in a format for decision making, it's a burden, not a benefit. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kamran, for that insightful session for our delegates over here. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we move ahead to the awards distribution. A little bit of information about the award categories. We have 4 categories: Legend CIO, which is the Lifetime Achievement Awards. Master CIO goes to a CIO with experience of more than 15 to 20 years and unparalleled technological experiences in a career lifespan. The Legend CIO is handed over to the CIO with experience of 10 to 15 years in multiple domains. The next generation CIO has an experience of 5 to 10 years or less and has undertaken mammoth projects in less span of time. Now let's go ahead and see the winners of Pakistan edition. Congratulations to all the winners. With that, we come to the end of wonderful Pakistan edition. And for the closing ceremony, I would like to invite Muhammad Umair Khokar, Managing Director, Local Services, to share a few words with our delegates. Thank you. Over to you, Umair.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. This is Muhammad Umar Khokar, Managing Director from Local Services. I hope you all are doing well. On the behalf of the management of Local Services, I would like to thank everyone who participated in the World CIO 200 Summit Pakistan Edition 2021. Local Services, being the country partner for the World CIO 200 Summit, brought first of its new platform to Pakistan. Pakistan is associated with World CIO 200 Summit for the last 3 years, and more than 36 countries are associated with the World CIO 200 Summit. Local services being specialized in the event management, especially in the B2B events, covers the sports and IT events with absolute class. Local Services is the only Pakistani company to be associated with several international golf events and along with international IT and associations. We believe to promote information and technology as it's the gateway to grow business, grow the commerce, and maximize the output. Role of information technology is utmost very important in every field in these days. If it's finance, education, business, healthcare, security, communication, or any other field. Local services took the initiative for the encouragement and recognition of Pakistan's chief information officers and head of ITs at international level. Being the part of the World CIO 200 Summit is such a great opportunity to actually promote the tech side of Pakistan and provide CIOs a platform to showcase their achievement to the rest of the world. We are really happy to receive hundreds of nominations this year from Pakistan. We believe to recognize the efforts of Pakistan IT experts, CIOs, and heads of ITs, and I personally congratulate all the members who are awarded and recognized today. Congratulations to all of you. Most of the members are recognized in Pakistan chapter of the World CIO 200 Summit. Few Pakistani members would be making their place to be included in the Book of Titans, in which only 200 people from all over the world from almost 36 countries are selected, and few Pakistani CIOs and head of ITs would be nominated for the global award, which are called DX Inspire Awards, to be held in UAE in coming month. We are very proud that 4 Pakistanis have been awarded with the DX Inspire Awards in the last 2 global editions. We are very happy to shift to virtual arena for conducting events in the COVID-19 pandemic. We hope to have physical events in coming years. We would like to thank all the IT leaders of Pakistan for their kind support, encouragement, appreciation, and helping us to organize top-notch events. We are glad that IT leaders valued the initiative of local services and understood that local services is trying to promote the ecosystem of the IT in the Pakistan. Local services have been working very hard to provide great networking opportunities to CIOs and IT heads of Pakistan with the IT heads of different countries. We believe to provide opportunities for the betterment of Pakistan, and we are always trying to come up with the out-of-box ideas of the events in the best possible manner so we can give our input for the betterment of Pakistan. Moving on, I would really like to thank Geo News for being the media partner for the World CIO 200 Summit. With the huge support of Geo, we have managed to deliver our best. And I would also like to thank Habib Metro Bank for being the exclusive sponsor for the summit. And moving forward, I would also like to thank MNP and Dell Technologies for being the sponsor for this event. I would also like to thank golfshop.pk for being the exclusive e-commerce partner for this event. In the end, I would like to inform that Local Services is bringing some innovative and some other new events in the coming years and hope to facilitate you all in the best possible way. Once again, congratulations to all the winners and good luck to the participants that would be nominated for the DX Inspire Award for the Global Summit to happen in coming months. Thank you everyone for joining. Allah Hafiz. Bye.